Hi, I'm Kieran Huggins, and this is Crash Course World History. Today we're going to learn if the Germans actually recovered from World War II. After World War II, the Germans recovered from the Holocaust was very gradual due to the greatly affected bullying by the Allied powers. Germany had suffered heavy losses in lives and in industrial power. There was a total of 7.5 million Germans killed, about 11% of the entire population. Throughout the country, the cities were severely damaged due to heavy bombing in the end of the war, and the agriculture was only about 35% of what it used to be. Efforts were made to permanently disassemble the war-making abilities of the Axis nations, and this was done through the destruction of factories and former leadership removed. There were millions of Germans and Japanese that were forcibly removed from their territories they once called home. The decisions of the Allies and United Nations led to many long-lasting problems in the future, including the tensions that created East and West Germany and the divergent plans in the Korean Peninsula that led to the creation of North and South Korea. World War II was the biggest story of the 20th century, and we study the aftermath through the German economics, land, and government. After World War II, Germany was trying to rehabilitate from all the destructions made by the war. Germany's economy was very low, and that is why Hitler made such a big social spending. Also, Germany spent a lot of time and money battling the unemployment rate. The social spending rate, in order to get back up, grew so much that they used about 20.5 per resident. Eventually, the finance went down completely in 1930. Even though it looked like if the falling of their finance was due to debt, it was actually due to the ordinary budgets. Adding up the economic problems that Germany faced, the revenue from the income tax began to fall. In 1913, over 53% of the tax revenues were from income, until 1925, when it went down about 28%. After all that happened, the government started to depend more and more on state trade and property tax. Afterwards, the government started to become more dependent on the winnings made from the municipal utilities, such as electric power plants. When Germany was at its weakest point, Hitler found his chance to begin his ascent to power. Hitler used the Jewish people as the reason for all the problems that Germany had. Knowing such a small number of wealthy Jewish business owners, Hitler blamed all the Jews for the poor economic state and convinced much of the German population. In order for Hitler to have so much power, he had only two ideas. He blamed others for the economy, and supposedly he had a plan to make Germany a better place with a better economic recovery. He made a plan where he would completely eliminate the unemployment throughout Germany in 4 years. Let's go to the thought bubble. One might ask, what were the effects of World War II for the non-European countries? The struggle for national independence of non-European peoples was greatly enhanced and stimulated by the war. The weakness of England and France, the two major European imperial powers, provided opportunities. The stage was set for the collapse of European empires in the 3 decades that followed. New technology, developed during the war to fight disease, would, when applied to the non-European world, result in a sharply lower mortality rate and soaring population growth. As the war ended, the physical abuse left from the Allies caused Germany's society to be in a very rough situation. Because of the bombing in cities like Berlin, Cologne, Leipzig, and many more, 80% of the historical buildings were destroyed. Not to mention thousands of homes and living complexes were destroyed as well. Since all of the buildings had fallen down, about 400 million cubic meters of rubble was scattered across the ground in Western Germany. Germany, having lost so many men in the war, left women to do much of the reconstruction of Germany. The Germans started to rely on the rubble women. They were ages from 15 to 50 to help clean and rebuild. One of the bigger problems in Germany was the lack of homes. Many lived in emergency camps or in their destroyed homes. One of the first things Germany did was start to rebuild homes. By the 1960s, 570,000 residential homes were being built each year in West Germany. Eastern Germany was quickly to follow up right behind them. While rebuilding the homes and living complexes, many people and the Allies debated whether they wanted a new look of Germany, to forget the past. In Berlin, you can especially see this, where they show both the new and the old architecture. One of the biggest problems from the aftermath of the war was the destruction of the bombs to the trade routes and production facilities. Extraordinary amounts of farmland was ravaged from the explosion of bombs, which caused the farmers to have extremely small harvests. In 1945, they had half of as much of the harvest as they had in 1938. Bread was one of the most important foods in German diets. Not having the grain to make the bread caused many people to suffer from malnutrition, and the malnutrition caused for people to not be able to do hard labor, which greatly affected the economy of Germany. The lack of food caused a ripple effect, greatly impacting a widespread of things in Germany. Another thing the bombs demolished was the railroads to import coal. Coal is another thing that the German society relied on for jobs and economy. No railroads meant for no jobs to import and export coal from Germany. Hey, yo, Mr. Green, how did the Allies control Germany's land and society so well after the war? The Allies, but specifically United States, Great Britain, France, and the Soviet Union, didn't give Germany much space or trust after the war. First off, they held certain powers over German affairs in zones where they maintained German forces. The Allies came into Germany and started to take over homes and offices to set up temporary government headquarters in the cities of Germany. Because of the low level of trust, the Allies did not allow Germany to have a military, so they wouldn't try to do anything again. To really make sure another world war wasn't begun again, the Allies dismantled factories, ports, and other important aspects of the German military. Now it's time for the open letter. I wonder what's inside of the secret compartment today. Ooh, a celebration wand. On 1 month from this day in 1945, British, U.S., and French troops move in and take over the powers of Berlin. The recovery of Germany's government took a collection of time, money, and reconstruction of friendships. On June 5, 1945, the Allies issued a unilateral declaration saying that they had complete power over Germany. If the war wouldn't have ended, the successor of Hitler as head of state would be Karl Donitz. The Allies would have governed through 4 occupation zones, one for each of the 4 powers: the United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union. In most occasions, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin was successful in getting settlements he desired. One of his biggest victories was attaining the conference's approval of his decision to reimburse Poland for its loss of territory. This also meant that Poland would have control over parts of Germany. After the war, Germany also signed a new constitution called the Basic Law for the Federal Republic of Germany. It was approved on May 8, 1949 in Bonn, Germany, with the signatures of the Western Allies of World War II. The authors of the Basic Law desired to assure that a potential dictator would never again have the opportunity to come into power. Even though some of the Basic Law is based on the Weimar Republic Constitution, the authors also wanted to secure that the human rights and human dignity was made the key and foundation of the Basic Law. The principles of social responsibility, democracy, and federalism are decisive components of the Basic Law. These fundamentals are constitutionally rooted, and there is no way that they can be removed or repealed by the standard amendment process. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.